Hey everybody, what's going on? I'm your host Luis Rodriguez, and I'm joined by.
Yahir Vasquez.
This is Talking in Three. This is the first episode. We'll be going into all topics that have to do with the Mexican national team and, of course, Mexican soccer. On this first episode, we'll be getting into. We'll talk a little bit about some history of the national team, some history of the domestic leagues, of course, comparing Mexico and the U.S. What else, Yair?
We're also going to be getting into some World Cup preview. We're only a couple months away, so that's something you want to stick around for. And at the end of the show, we also have some wacky questions that our producer set up for us that me and Luis will be discussing and see if we can get anything fun out of it.
Hey, speaking of fun, Yair, this set is really good. We got our own little paletas cart with our cantaritos, and every week or every episode we'll be adding a little bit of flair. Let's start out with right there, man.
The first sticker, El Tri.
So Yair, let's start talking here. We got this conundrum in North America, this rivalry, right? US Mexico, and that extends national teams, goes to leagues. And now owners, sponsors, everybody, they're milking it for all it's worth, right? So they're more head-to-head matchups coming up. But we got Liga MX, we got MLS. What do you think?
Man, see, there's a El Tri podcast. Huge Mexico fan, loved it my whole life. I've been a MX fan when it was called La Liga, and I used to get confused as a kid thinking it was the Spaniard league. But at this point in history, I think the MLS has the upper hand, unfortunately. I think Liga MX is falling back in how it develops. And I think the MLS is just
What if I
churning
tell
out
you?
new
What if I tell you
talent.
it's not a development league? It's not meant to be developed. It's a destination league. They are the destination for a lot of South America's best footballers before they make the jump, or they're happy there because they make a boatload of money.
The thing is, I can make the same argument for the MLS. The MLS has
Yeah,
Diego
MLS.
Almeida. Look at our own. We're in Colorado. If you go look at the Rapids, they just brought in a couple of young kids from South America that are looking to make the jump to Europe. That it's the same thing that the Liga MX is doing.
Yeah, but the MLS looks to capitalize and export, so it's an exportation league. Liga MX, they look to make their teams more competitive.
Competition wise, I think MX is way more competitive. I think from top to bottom, I think the teams are a lot more complete. I can agree with that. But I think for it, if we're talking about national team, for it to affect the national team, exportation is the way to do it. Argentina, a lot of Brazil, a lot of these South American leagues get through and make their national teams a powerhouse by developing their young players and sending them out to Europe to develop even more. And I think that's a spot where Liga MX has really stalled and they could really improve in going forward. I think the way they treat the Mexican national team is how they should treat the men's national league, because the Mexican national league, the Mexican national team for the women, it's being cultivated in Mexico. They're not allowing foreigners to play as much, so they can develop their young talent and send them to Europe, send them to other more developed leagues, and that's how the Mexican national team has improved so much on the women's side. On the American side, it hasn't. At the men's side, it hasn't as much, unfortunately.
So, what if I told you that that competition that's being brought from the foreign players is actually also good for the Mexican players' development? Because I believe at this point it's probably so much harder to come up through Club America Academy or Cruz Azul Academy and break through to the first team. And I think we're seeing dividends with players uh, and their performance in Europe, like Edson Alvarez or Jorge Sanchez or Santi Jimenez.
See, those players I feel like are very specific. Well, the MLS, like I'm a huge MX fan. I love MX. I grew up on that league. That's what I've known on Sunday mornings, Saturday mornings when I woke up, had a little pozole, had a little menudo, cooking up with my grandparents, watching Pumas in the background. That's what I know. And unfortunately, from that time when I was a kid to now, it hasn't improved. We're not exporting the players that are needed. I feel like exportation rates are the same.
Well, if it hasn't improved, how come it took the MLS so long to win one? CONCACAF Champions League.
Because they're more because MX is more competitive. How you said they keep their players, while the MLS, I think competition level in Mexico is a lot higher because exportation rates are lower.
What if I told you that I think, and this is kind of proven by, say, the All-Star game where they face All-Stars against each other. At the top tier, the talent is similar. It's as the rosters trickle down, and they are more high-dollar rosters in Mexico throughout,
For
right?
sure.
And in the MLS, the bottom of the roster, I'm sorry, but it's like
Yeah, you got 18-year-olds just that didn't go to college.
just trying to break in. So, in my opinion, comparing the leagues, it's going to be natural just because of the regional rivalry. It's likely not fair because I think the goals of the leagues are two different things. Like I said, one is a destination league and one has become an exportation league.
But let's think of it this way, because I envy the MLS. I really do. You've seen the American national team improve quite a bit, has multiple players overseas.
How many players on the national team are playing that league?
In the MLS?
And yeah, but
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, most of the players came through the MLS system and went to overseas and developed into starting caliber.
I don't think that's the case anymore. But let's not lose track that this is talking El Tri.
It is. But this is a really good point to making my point that now Mexico needs to do the same. And I argue that we were talking about, like, oh, it took so long for an American team to win the CONCACAF CCL, the Champions League. But them winning it just shows how far they've come as a league and how far Mexico has dropped off as a league. We got to remember that TCL, we were this close to having all American teams in the final. The final four were 3 Americans and 1 Mexican team.
Yeah, but still, they beat off each other.
They do, and that's my thing. Is just I wish Mexico would focus a little bit more on exporting and helping their players develop into big contributors across Europe, because that's usually where they can get the top competition and they can keep developing into becoming perennial starters for El Tri.
I'm never gonna not agree with the fact that the best competition is in Europe and that's where players need to develop. But I gotta give Liga MX its props in the level that it is at, and the players that do make it to the first team rosters there, they've had to go through the gauntlet.
Yeah, and
that includes Chivas, even though there's not foreign competition there. But I think Alexis Vega is a perfect example of a player just as good as any player there is.
Oh yeah, in North America, I believe Alexis Vega is maybe, if you look at between America and the U.S. and you look at the forward positions, he's probably top 5. If you compare them, let's say even Canada. Even if you compare the Canadian team, the American team, and the Mexican team, I think Alexis Vega would be squarely in the top 5 in forwards.
Wow. We'll get into a little bit of roster talk later, but I mean, we're talking about Jimenez. We're talking about, and since you mentioned Canada, we're talking about Jonathan David. So I mean, there's competition.
Oh, there is, and you can't forget Captain America Pulisic, who, I'm sorry for everybody involved, he's a little overrated, and this is the fullest Mexican take you'll ever hear from me.
Well, okay. Since we brought up the World Cup, and since we're talking about the rivalry, the World Cup is coming up. Who is going to go the furthest?
Out of North America, or just the rivalry?
Let's say just the rivalry.
Just the rivalry. I think it's about even. I think they both can get past the first round. They'll get out of the group stage, and then they both get.
So you mean the round of 16?
Yeah, I think that's the most they have in them.
But they're both getting out of groups?
I think they're both getting out of groups.
Okay.
Just Mexico has little.
I think Poland has something to say about that. I think Wales has something to say about that.
I agree with that, but with Mexico, it's until you don't get out of the group for the first time, I'm going to keep putting you in that round. You keep doing it, you just can't get out of that round, right? Like, they keep going to the round of 16s and they immediately say bye.
But they get out of the group.
Yeah, exactly.
I
So
always
that's
say that death, taxes, and Mexico getting out of the World Cup group.
it's sucks so much, man, for Mexico fans because you get that
It's
sliver
still
of
elite
hope.
company. It's still elite company. Since
It-
'94, only 2 national teams have advanced out of the group every World Cup:
Brazil and them, right?
Brazil and Mexico. It
It's
was Germany was also in that group before that, but
until Mexico shut up and said bye.
yes.
They got a good. They know what good tacos taste like now.
Hey,
Germany.
Chucky Lozano.
Dude, I remember having like I just woke up, my eyes barely opened during that World Cup because it was such an early game, and I'm used to like sleeping in until 12.
I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know how early it was because it was 6 p.m. where I was at,
Oh, you were
which was in
actually at
Moscow,
yep.
in Luzhniki Stadium. One of my all-time greatest
Accomplishments.
experiences and accomplishments. And I'm still I'm still in the doghouse with my wife for that. But nobody can take away those memories.
Memories worth way more than money, right?
Way more.
That's what I always say.
Way more.
My memory, exactly. Like that goal will forever live in my mind, and I don't care that I paid $300 to fix the wall for running into it right afterwards.
Ran through the wall. Look at that.
That
See?
I
This is
literally
the type of
ran
passion.
to the wall because that's how much that goal meant to me as a fan. It's one of those times where I'm like half asleep. I saw Chucky Lozano come down the left wing and just
Like,
score that goal, and
like,
I didn't know what to do.
Pass it, and then he cuts back. You're like, no, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
But okay, back to the World Cup.
Back to the World Cup.
At the Mexican group, you have Argentina, you have Mexico, you have Poland, and then the last one is
Saudi Arabia.
Do you think Saudi Arabia could do anything?
You know what? Here's my take. I mean, I've been watching World Cups all my life, and for whatever reason, if not the host country, some country from the region always makes a big run or a big splash.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I guess in this case, Western Asia, because it's in Qatar. And Qatar are the reigning Asia Cup champions, and they've kind of been barnstorming and whatnot. But the Saudis are actually like a very experienced team and federation, so they've been World Cup staples, for decades also. So who's going to make that big jump from that region? And for Mexico's sake, I hope it's not the Saudis this time, but you don't know. So I'm not going to sleep on them.
And they've also been building a really well domestic league where they bring in a lot of high dollar names to kind of help develop their young players. So I think Saudi's one to look out for. I just don't think this is their World Cup.
And I think it's very beneficial that Mexico gets them last.
See, to me, that's worse. I think that just gives Saudi more time to scout Mexico.
Oh, for sure.
And I think how they play in this World Cup.
For sure. Are we going to see rotaciones by then? Are they going to rotate the roster? Playing 3 games in a row with the same 11, I don't see it happening.
You trust Tata too much. I'll tell you that much.
We don't have a choice at this point. We're stuck.
I have a choice, and I choose not to trust him. I choose to believe in him, but not trust him. And then we have Poland.
Yes.
Who I think we might be a little biased, but I think we're measuring it goes Argentina from the top, Mexico, Poland, then Saudi Arabia. So working our bottom up, what do you think about Poland? They do have a superstar in Lewandowski.
They got Lewandowski, and for a long time I thought, especially after seeing some of their recent results of other tournaments, and I'm talking about World Cup, Euros, Nations League, they do fine in qualifying, but they've stumbled. And for the longest I thought it's Lewandowski and 10 other guys. But as I'm watching some of these domestic European leagues, I mean, some guys are coming alive at the right time. Maybe. We'll see in November. But, for example, Zielinski with Napoli, guy's playing outstanding. And so
he's kind of taking Lozano's spot a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. That's like directly affecting El Tri.
Yeah.
Directly. But nonetheless, I think going back to trusting Tata, I think he's giving more weight to perhaps chemistry, perhaps guys that play his style. And he's applying that to how he's selecting his rosters, because there's definitely guys that people are like, why is Gallardo still there? Why is
I'm one of those people. You're preaching to the choir.
But
right
I want to believe that it's because he has this idea of how he wants to play, right? And he trusts these guys to play to that style. Now, with that said, I always think you got to go with the hot hand at the time, and I think that might apply to certain positions.
Forward
is one of them. Outside backs, and now even Tecatito's injury, although they're saying he's gonna work to make it to Qatar. You don't just break a bone and come back.
At that point, if he's not 100% healthy, he's gonna take up a roster spot that could be used for somebody that could actually contribute.
But with that said, that spot is up for grabs. Although for me, I feel like Alexis Vega is a natural fit, but in general, I think Mexico has a couple options at outside wing players. Anyways, jumping back to Poland, though.
But how that goes to Poland is, how are they going to cover Lewandowski, which is the main target that Poland's going to be looking at, because that's what their offense runs through. That's what their team runs through. So let's say that there is not a rotation in the squad, because that's the things that they're doing great. What's going to happen then? Is Lewandowski going to burn Gallardo,
There wouldn't be a rotation in the squad because that's the first game. That's the first game that they.
But yeah, they're still like friendly leading up,
right?
And if you can tell right away when your players are informed or not informed. So is he gonna wait till that game to make the change, and then have Poland have an advantage?
So who's the best marking center back?
I would give him Montes. I'd give him because of the height, and Lewandowski loves to play through the air.
Man, I swear that guy could finish in all forms possible. So in general, they got to stick to him like chicle. All right, whoever's center back, right? But with that said, I still think as a squad, Mexico is better than Poland.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why when I say Poland, I say it with a little bit of fear, but I'm also 100% confident at the same time that El Tri can handle its business. It usually does in the group stage, and they don't falter. Now we get to the very cream of the top. We look at Argentina in the same group, the group that everybody's looking to take down a peg.
Look, man, Argentina has had an outstanding year. They won Copa America. They got to square off in this continental, showdown with Italy, and like beat them convincingly. They got some players that are really starting to peak at the right time. Guys that they need, guys like workhorses. Obviously, people are going to look at the Messis, maybe even like the Di Marias, Dybalas. But I'm talking about somebody that like Leandro Martinez. He's really helping spark Manchester United, who started terribly, but has since rebounded, and I think a big part of it has been Martinez, a guy that came over from Ajax with.
That's how I learned about him. Honestly, the first times I was looking at, I kept seeing Ajax games because of Edson Alvarez, and I'm just like, I want to see, and Martinez just always stood out.
He always pops, right? The guy is like, I wouldn't want to play against him. He reminds me a lot of Mascherano, but like talented. In the yeah.
That's a shot at you, Argentina. Take it for what it is.
But that's the kind of guy that Messi needs around him, a workhorse.
Somebody that can help him dominate the kind of that middle part where he can kind of move up a little bit more and help take that defensive role.
It's the spine of your team. You mentioned Montes. We've mentioned Alvarez. Who else is in the spine of El Tri?
I think Guardado still keeps that. Guardado and Hector Herrera still keep that, even though maybe their play has dropped off a little bit because of age and because their athleticism is leaving them. I do think that there's that leadership and that level of play that high level of play they played for so long is going to help the team. It's going to keep a cool head It's gonna keep them
They
centered.
need that veteran leadership. There's no more Rafa Marquez. There's no more Rafa Marquez. Other veterans haven't quite been called up. So yeah, it goes guys like Guardado and Herrera probably have to step it up. I don't know if I see Guardado starting. In my personal preference, they'd have to start Gutierrez.
Y el Guti.
El Guti. And then who's your number 9?
I have a controversial opinion on the 9. I think it's you bring in Carlos Vela.
Controversy.
I think you have to bring in Carlos Vela. You bring in the players that are in form, no matter what.
What are you gonna force them? What are they gonna? They're gonna kidnap him?
I've heard rumors. Again, I'm a rumor monger. I love listening to all these things that people say that have no idea what they're talking about. But I've heard rumors that he might be interested if Tata calls him up.
Man, I got beachfront property for you in Tucson if you want to.
I'll take it, man. I'll take it in a heartbeat if that means Vela's at the World Cup.
Don't get me wrong. I'll take Vela. He's if not the most, one of the most talented Mexican offensive players. The guy just oozes like that.
He's in a squad with a lot of talent, man. He's with
that too.
Chicho Arango. He's with Gareth Bale. He has Blessings on the other side. And he's also playing, and he's the one standing out day in and day out every weekend. And that's what Mexico needs. He has that flair. He has the experience.
Is he the one stirring the drink?
He's the one
chef.
He's the one stirring that menudo on Saturday mornings.
He's the straw stirring the drink.
Dude, every time I see Vela play, a little part of me breaks because I'm like, why can't you do that in a green jersey?
Look, man, I mean, it's a attitude thing, and his attitude towards El Tri is different because I'm sure he sees it as more of an obligation than than actually. Yeah. Well, maybe not that. I wouldn't go that far, but more of an obligation than being an LAFC player, for say, because LAFC, he chose that place, and and while a national team call up, you choose to go or not, and clearly he's chosen not to of late. I still think he just sees it as more of a obligation, almost a burden. Yes, I wish he would do those great things in a green jersey as well, or sometimes black, or sometimes
this new cream colored one, which is awesome. But getting back to Argentina and Mexico, this dynamic between them, they have similar players. I feel like the only difference is I feel like the top end of Argentina is very high.
Yeah.
But I feel like that top end of Argentina, it's very high, but it's also very old.
Look, I'm telling you, I saw that game against Italy, and they made a not that old Italy team look old.
Yeah, but now Italy's also not in the World Cup.
They're not in the World Cup.
Exactly.
So it's a moot point. So. Right.
So I think Italy is the worst example because I think Italy's just peaked at the Euros and it couldn't do anymore. So I think Argentina's good. Don't get me wrong. Dybala is no longer the high-end player he once was, in my opinion. He could regain his form at Roma, which he kind of is. But there's also a chance that these Di Maria, these older players, Higuain also retired already, I think. And Messi's also not been in good form in PSG. I think you can start seeing that their age and their talent starting to cross, and it's starting to go downward. And so that's the one thing that Mexico can hang its hat on, that maybe the youth they can insert with a Roberto Alvarez, with an Alexis Vega, with maybe a Lainez, with maybe just all these young players that are really fast down the wings can maybe take advantage of some of these old guys in Argentina.
Antuna's got the wheels, man. And Tata likes him. He's not, I don't think he's in top form.
And this is
But he's one of those guys that almost puts on his Superman cape when he puts on the green jersey.
And my thing about Antuna is Tata trusts him, and I dislike Antuna.
That's
it's nothing against Tata. Tata, if you're watching this, I love you. It's just, I don't think you're a good coach, unfortunately. But Antuna...
He's sitting here like this. He's like, Che, ¿por qué?
Because you get haircuts instead of coaching players, that's why. And it just Antuna, in my opinion, seems to start gaining his form towards the end of tournaments, and I feel like that's what it's needed. But I feel like for the group stage, he's just not going to make it. He's not going to be what Mexico needs.
And On the plus side, I mean, like I said, I think there's depth in the wings. You mentioned Linus. We've talked about Vega. There's other options, so
And
I'm not uncomfortable with where they are with wingers.
no, neither am I. And Tecatito, it hurts, of course. He's the top. He's an elite talent for Mexico, but it's just not going to work, unfortunately.
No, the injury couldn't have happened at a worse time because he was, I think, starting to hit a point at Sevilla where he was an offensive focal point for that team, a Champions League team, where he was going to get to show it against some of the top competition in Europe.
So the same question we had about Lewandowski, who's marking him? I chose Cesar Montes. I thought that's the guy because of height. Now we turn our focus to Messi, which is the focal point of the Argentinian squad. Who would you want to mark Messi?
Honestly, I would like Edson Alvarez.
You took my question. You took my answer. That's
I stole it. Give me that. Give me that take.
It's a good take.
It's a good take.
It's the only take, in my opinion.
It's the only take. Right now, Edson is, man, he's really hitting his stride. Like the rumored, because you like rumors, $50 million that Chelsea offered for him, as the season was ramping up and Ajax rejected. Like, it's looking like a bargain right now because he's the best player on that Ajax squad at the moment. And I think they know it, and I think they knew that after Qatar, he's probably going to be worth more than that. So it's been really cool to see Edson, even though I'm not really one for America, but hey, country over club all day.
Dude, I hate America too, dude. And I just hate those beautiful yellow kits that they wear. And I hate that they trot them out there constantly.
Crema?
I don't know.
Yeah. Well, that
I still hate them. But either way, whether I hate them or not, they develop talent.
Exactly.
They also got Jorge Sanchez out of there. They got Sendejas, who is having some issues with nationality right now.
Ooh.
And then there's
also talking dual nationals.
Dude, there's so much going on. Sendejas. That could be a podcast on its own. That's like
that is a novela.
That is an hour and a half.
That's a novela right there, man.
It's tough. But again, they still develop talent. Like and not just Mexican talent. They develop talent for everybody. Like they've developed a lot of Colombian talent. They've developed a lot of Ecuadorian talent. A lot of South American talent. So I feel like America, as much as I hate them for what they represent, for the Mexico squad when they're good, it's good for Mexico.
No, I mean, I think every league needs like that team that stands out. Money-wise, of course, but also just loads up their roster, and they could do that. They keep the league, very competitive, and they make other teams. They raise all boats in the fact that other teams need to keep up, or at least try to keep up. And Edson is a really good example of a player that broke into that squad, probably had to beat out some really good foreign players, just to crack that roster, and it made his transition to Europe, to Ajax, like a lot easier. And then now at Ajax, he's been at a great institution where he could develop. And I'm very comfortable with saying that Edson will at least hold his own against a bit of aged Messi.
I think
who's a little more static, not as active throughout the pitches in years past.
It will be interesting to see how Messi comes into that game. Not really looking comfortable with PSG. So seeing him with an Argentina squad that he's the focal point, he doesn't have to fight for
I'm seeing some pretty elite assists. Now, these are to Neymar and Mbappe, who, I mean, I could probably myself ping a pass and they'll make something out of it and at least put it on frame. But
you won't make it messy?
No, I won't make it messy. This Argentina team, they're gonna obviously, they're the favorites. They're the favorites to win the group. But is it an advantage or disadvantage for Mexico to have an Argentinian coach?
This brings me back to the 2006 World Cup, where Mexico's coach, I think it was El Vasco,
No, it was La Volpe.
La Volpe, was Argentinian. And I
Another
remember the whole time the lead up to that match of the round of 16s was, is he going to be on our side? Is he going to be on the Argentina side? Who is he going to like? Who does he want? Is it job over country? Is it country over job? And I fear that that's going to happen again. But isn't
No, but Argentina won that game with like a miraculous
it did, but,
extra
like,
time goal.
I remember that, but isn't also it also like just puts that in doubt in your head. Like I know like you trust your coaches to do what they have to do, but it also
You lack trust. You lack trust because
I lost track.
see, if you keep following those rumors, like when the Mexican, it was in Liguilla, I think, time, and they photographed. No, it was early in the Clausura 2022, where Tata was photographed talking in some dressing room in Argentina, when people are like, you should be scouting your players. So then the federation scrambles to put some different postings out there, like, oh, look at this coach, this assistant, and this assistant at all these different Liga MX games. This is funny how they responded to that, and
I think it was also out of fear.
Of course,
and that's why it's
they
like,
got crushed for it, rightfully so. Both for letting Tata just be down there all willy nilly, but also how they reacted. But it's FMF. Like, well,
it's also like I want to trust that Tata's going to be focused for this game, but there's also a part because I'm like, if I was coaching, let's say Costa Rica, and I faced Mexico, part of me is like, let's go Mexico, and then part of me is like, but we got to score first, make sure that they know I'm not cheating on purpose.
You almost sound like a gambler betting the over.
I don't. I'm not a. I don't.
You don't
gamble
endorse
as
that?
much.
You
I don't gamble
endorse
as
that?
much as I used to. I'll tell you that much.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't. You can't gamble on Mexico. You don't know what you're gonna get.
You can't. I mean, Mexico is a gamble of its own. Being a Mexico fan, it's a gamble of its own.
Yeah.
And the outcome always comes out the same, and you still put your life into it.
Yes. So we skipped ahead. We went right into our World Cup preview. But let's bring it back, because we said which team is going to go further. And we don't got to go too much into this. But so if Mexico advances, say second in the group, it's most likely that they're going to draw in the round of 16 the winner of France's group, which will probably be France. Although they have this thing where, like, every other World Cup, they like go far or win it, and then the next one they just like stumble out in the group stage.
Also, famously, Mexico beat France in the 2010 World Cup.
That was one of the World Cups that they stumbled after doing really well the one before. They were finalists in 06, right? Zidane headbutting the Italian player.
That's one of my earliest memories of soccer.
Oh, I forget how young you are.
Dude,
oh, my gosh.
So, like, that's one of my earliest memories. That, and I think I want to say 2004 or 5 when Hugo Sanchez won La Liga with Pumas against Chivas. And I remember him just being hoisted up. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. I was like a little kid. I was like, that's the
well, good for you, Goya. Good for you, because they beat the Chivas. But so that's who Mexico would likely have to face. But like we said, France has this weird thing where they tend to stumble. So we'll see. We can't just assume, and we can't also not assume Mexico can't win the group somehow.
I was about to say, do you see any path to Mexico winning the group, kind of like, or maybe even taking Argentina out of the running?
Yeah, I mean, they would have to beat Poland and then have a favorable game against Argentina, who by that time will have most likely routed the Saudis and have, good goal differential and something like that. I could see them getting a draw.
Can you see a world where they draw against Poland, beat Argentina, and beat the Saudis?
Wait, why are they drawing against Poland?
I think Poland's sneaky.
Poland's sneaky. Okay, let's jump back to the thing that Mexico has been struggling with the most for years. I mean, for years now, really, putting the ball in the back of the net.
Fair.
If the outcome of games was decided by who has the most possession, well, Mexico would win every game. But the game rewards those who score. And Mexico hasn't been putting it in the back of the net lately. That is my biggest concern with not only Poland, like every game, obviously, but Poland specifically, because they will probably be very stout in the back. Yeah, it's just they got some good talent there. So
I can see it. It would be more likely for me for Mexico to win the cup. I mean, to win the group. I mean, I'm dreaming ahead, right? But
holy cow,
it would be more likely for me for Mexico to win the group than them to be not qualify for the knockout rounds.
More likely.
Yeah, it's more likely for them to win the group than not qualify for the knockout rounds.
Wow.
That's how I see that group.
That's how you see the group.
And I think it's more than a 50% chance. I think about 50-50 chance that Argentina doesn't win the group.
Wow.
I'm a Messi fan. Rafa Marquez made me a fan of Messi when he was in Barca.
Okay.
I love Messi. I think he's the greatest player to ever walk this planet. I'd kiss any floor he walked on. But I just think he's getting old. I think he's not the same Messi.
Well, that's why. What if I told you he's not necessarily, like, the team isn't just working like solely around him anymore?
But the thing is, who else do they work through?
I don't know about through. They're just solid at every position.
They're solid, but that's the thing. I also think that if you can get them on the counter, I think Mexico can be faster than them in a lot of these aspects. And I think they can. I think Mexico has a chance of winning the group. I don't think it's likely, but I think they can.
So you see catching them on a counter, like, say, Chucky Lozano.
Yeah, exactly. They did it to
2018.
Germany when Germany was the epitome of the world. Like, they thought Germany...
They were the defending champions.
Exactly.
They were at the pinnacle of, yes.
But the thing is, we look at Germany, and now we look in hindsight, and it's like they were an older team.
Yeah.
Now, what if this happens again? Which it could, because this is an older team. And so I look at Germany, I look at Argentina the same way I looked at Germany. Not likely, but possible. And I think Mexico has the talent to get it done. I don't know if they have the coaching. I know they have the talent.
Oh, man. You hammer on my guy.
Dude, I swear, I thought that was going to be looking like Swiss cheese after all the shots I took at him.
Oh, he takes plenty of shots. He takes plenty of shots. It
comes with the job.
It comes with the job. The Mexican media market is...
They have no other sports to focus on.
They have plenty, but... Yes, no, I mean, football, that is the biggest difference, right? Between the U.S. and Mexico. Football is king. You walk out your door as a player in Mexico, and you're immediately... You probably feel the pressure.
The way Americans cover American football, it's how Mexico covers soccer, football, like football.
They start football, yes. The sport actually play with your foot. Yes.
Whatever you want to call it. I'm not a stickler for whatever you call it. It's whatever makes you feel comfortable. So I just want the game to expand.
Except at Leeds United, they call it soccer now.
Yeah.
But okay, so round of 16, and then we'll see. And you don't see the U.S. You see the U.S. coming out of the group, but not advancing.
The thing with the U.S., man, there's such high variance that I can literally see them I can see them making the group stage, qualifying for the knockout round. I can see them I think that's going to be almost a guarantee, honestly. But I can either see them getting knocked out there or going on a Cinderella run all the way to the semi.
They're so young. So young.
That's the thing about youth. You're so stupid. You don't know what you're doing. And that's what I wish Mexico had. I wish Mexico had more stupidity.
But
honestly.
I can't think of a recent World Cup winner that was filled with such young players.
France was pretty young. They were like mid-20s.
Maybe.
Their focal point was Mbappe, and he was like 19.
I don't know about focal point. I would say even Griezmann was a little bit more of a focal point on that team.
I just think
Kante, that was really the guy that, to me, made that team really.
I think he was an unsung hero for sure.
Yes.
I think all the praise went to.
Okay, so who would be this U.S. team's either Kante or Mbappe?
I'm really as much as I hate how much I hate some of these American players because I think they're really good. Like they have Gio Reyna, who I think dominates the middle of the pitch.
Talking to other Mexico fans, that is the player that strikes the most fear.
We have a producer
like,
over here swiveling.
like nobody's talking
because he
about-
knows
yeah.
exactly how we feel about him.
Yeah. Like nobody's really like, you know. I mean, for the longest time, there's a lot of respect for, say, Landon Donovan from Mexico fans, and you know, Captain America.
Overrated.
He doesn't get the same respect from Mexico fans like Landon Donovan did. But you say Gio Reyna, they're like, oh man, because they know like that guy's good, but he's so young, and he tends to. I mean, the guy kind of gets hurt pretty often.
That's very true. You can, but you also have like, I'm also a big fan of Musa. Musa, I think it's a player that can control and can really dominate them, kind of like a Conte style. He's big, he's physical, not like Conte, but he uses his body correctly.
He misses sitters right in front of the goal in Azteca.
Yo, you don't got to score when you're a midfielder.
Yeah.
And also, they have a lot of strikers they can choose from that are informed strikers.
Is Pepe in form?
No, but if you look at Ferreira's in form. They also got P-Folk out of Union Berlin. They also have I forget the other guy's name.
Sargent.
Oh,
probably.
Brandon Vasquez, Sargent. Like, they have guys in form.
Brandon Vasquez. Was that another dual national reference?
He is a dual national. Tata said he's not scouting him. But he's been an absolute.
He only scores double-digit goals. Yeah.
But Tata doesn't care about that. Tata wants vibes. Tata's there for the vibes. He's not there for winning. He wants vibes. He knows that the more he loses, the more they'll talk about him and the more famous he'll get.
Oh my goodness, man. Tata is just getting crushed by my guy.
If you guys haven't heard, I'm not a big Tata fan, just so everybody knows.
Oh, we haven't heard?
Yeah.
No, I think we've heard, but okay, so Cinderella run, potentially.
I think there can be a Cinderella run.
Dark horse.
And I think they're going to be motivated that the next World Cup will be in the U.S.
What?
You want to build something off. You want to have that electricity coming into the squad as you build up.
Okay, the last time the U.S. hosted a World Cup, there wasn't even a domestic league. So
true, but now
I think that's
I think that's the big difference.
Now there is.
I think the big difference is that the game has grown in the U.S. And I think the issue with Mexico, how the U.S. has grown, it's that it grew when all these sport advancements were going on. And Mexico kind of grew the old way. And it's, I think, been hard for Mexico to catch up to a lot of these, whether it be because of the economy or whatever reason. We don't know, right? Or because of violence or whatever the country is. We don't know why it hasn't grown the way I think it should. But I think Mexico's finally catching up, especially with this, how I said earlier, with the women's international team. And I think that's giving them a blueprint of how to make the
What if I tell you the lack
bigger.
of Mexico's, the optics of the lack of Mexico as a national team's growth has to do with the region. And not saying it's a poor region, but it's a region that knows how to play Mexico now.
True, but that should make Mexico improve. That's my
counter argument.
argument.
Improved against 10 men in the box. Like, what do you?
But if you look, Canada was able to improve. The U.S.
Nobody plays Canada with 10 in the box.
They don't. But they're gonna here pretty soon with Jonathan
Mexico still
David.
outpossessed them. Mexico was playing, but it's an ice rink. Like,
it is an ice
possession's
rink.
only good for so long.
But that's the thing. A good team will be good no matter what. And if Mexico's getting, how can I say this, distracted by all these outside factors, then maybe you're not as good as you think you are.
Well, outside factors that's a totally different thing to me.
It is, but it's also, I think, like, when you're good no matter what. That's how I look at it. And if they're lower, if it is lower competition, even if they're putting 10 in the box, you should be able to break those 10 men in the box and win. Not lose like they did.
It just crowds it. It
makes it difficult as somebody that's played soccer. But it's also, I remember when I was less talented and I put 10 in the box and they still scored 5 on us. And it's like, it didn't matter. We packed the goal with 10 players. Like, if you're talented, if you're better than the other team, you will find a way to win.
Well, look, your issues at Kennedy with their soccer team, they'll have nothing to do with Mexico, but
it was not Kennedy. It was my Sunday league where grown men were going cleats up on me, and all they got was a warning. As a 13-year-old, and I was like, "What am I doing here?"
Well, we all make different life choices, and
I have made some bad ones for sure.
It's not bad. Sunday games are fun.
They're fun until you walk out with a bruised ankle and not being able to walk for a month.
Ouch.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't need
appearances as a 13-year-old at the
I
urgent care.
don't need Uncle Juan coming at me full speed, bro. I just don't.
Uncle Juan coming off of probably re-roofing or something.
He still has his work boots on,
he
man. I'm
still
like,
has
I
his work
don't want to
boots.
do this today.
He's like, hey, cuídame el chaleco. I'll be right back. Yeah, I'm gonna get
Full
this
of
kid.
paint.
Ouch, ouch. Okay, so I think we're at a consensus that
I think they're going to the knockout.
they're gonna they make it to the round of 16. Anything can happen. Mexico makes it to the round of 16. Anything can happen.
I don't know about Mexico. Anything can happen. At this point, I'm honestly, man, I love the team. I love the squad.
But not further than the round of 16.
I don't think further than round of 16s is possible.
It's all about matchups. It's all about matchups. And if they draw the right matchup, you know.
Yeah, maybe. But they also drew the right matchup in Brazil against Holland.
Against the Dutch.
That were, again, a older, slower team. And Mexico gave them fits.
Mexico gave them fits.
And that's what I look at Argentina. The same way I looked at Germany. The same way I look at Holland.
Mexico took an early lead. Yeah.
No fue penal.
Y luego no fue penal. Why you gotta do that to me, man?
I like being sad, man. That's the life of a sports fan. You gotta be sad to enjoy the good.
That is, man. That's our life as El Tri fans. It's pain. A lot of pain.
So much pain.
Yep. So, okay. And then we've gone through our World Cup previews, match by match. And where does Mexico finish in the group? You said more likely to win the group than to not even advance out of the group.
If I was a gambling man, I'd say they win the group.
Wow. The stone's on you. I still think they'll finish second. Mostly, actually, and that's mostly due to goal difference.
Makes sense.
I could see them finishing with the same amount of points, tying Argentina's second match, finishing with the same amount of points as them, but Argentina just goliza on the Saudis, and the Mexico, if they beating Saudis like by
2-0 or something, it's not going to make the difference.
Not as many as Argentina.
It's just also, I'm forever the optimist, and I like to believe that Messi's past his prime, and I like to believe Argentina's old.
I don't think there's a question that he's past his prime, but I mean, I just think that in general, the team, top to bottom, is strong.
I agree with that, but I also agree that people are comfortable with what they know. Again, it goes back to Germany and Holland. They were older teams that people had a lot of faith in because they had the stars.
On any given day, anything can happen. Is what you're saying.
Okay. So, except for the round of 16. I talked myself into them winning the group literally on this pod. Like, I was coming in thinking they're not even going to make it to the round of 16. And literally, as we went through each...
You're so easy to sway. We get you in
Dude, I'm super easy to sway, man. I think with my heart. I don't think with my brain.
There you go.
Like, I'm not a logical sports fan, especially when it comes to the three, the passion, I don't bleed red. I bleed green.
There's no logic. There's no logic.
There's never no logic. So I just talk myself.
It's just always pull at your heartstrings, and you get us in this really pro El Tri atmosphere, and that's just what comes out.
And we went through each squad, and it just kind of like I kind of sat down and I'm like, I know enough for each squad to maybe make a positive inference. So
there you go. All right, hey, now we're gonna segue into a segment that'll be a little bit more fun, a little bit more interactive. So what we got here, Yahir, we got some cantaritos. What's your favorite beverage to drink from a cantarito?
Probably a paloma.
Oh,
I love that nice little lemon flavor with the clay flavor.
You got some toronja, some grapefruit.
Yep.
I guess because I'm the old guy, I go with like an atole, but just showing my age there.
Now I seem like an alcoholic. Thanks a lot, Luis.
It comes with age. But anyways, our producers have taken the liberty to give us some fun questions. I don't know what's in here. Yeah, it doesn't know what's in here. I don't know. Should I do the first honor and ask you the first question here?
Let's go.
All right. What do we got here? Which player has surprised you the most with their growth over the last 4-year cycle?
I think it has to be Cesar Montes. I think there was a lot of hope for him, and I think he's really grown into that role that we all wanted him to grow into.
Yeah, I mean, a solid center back presence is definitely needed on El Tri, and I'm hoping he's matured into it, and I think we're going to find out in Qatar and the lead up to it.
Big Cesar Montes fan.
Okay.
All right, your turn. Which player has disappointed you the most with their progress over the last 4 year cycle?
Oh man,
This is not planned, people.
no, not at all. Um, at times it's been Eric Gutierrez because he's supposed to have been the replacement for Guardado 4 years ago, you know, and he's progressed. Some of that could be, his club team situation, and now he's been given more minutes. So I'm hoping now he's jumped back on track. But I thought that by now he'd be at a bigger club and he'd be without a doubt, a staple like right there in the spine of El Tri, and that doesn't happen. I will say also in that category, Hector Herrera, because Hector Herrera at one point was the captain of Porto, and then made the jump to La Liga, won a league with them. Never really got solid footing there, so never really was given a consistency. And I thought his like creativity was off the scales. A big contributor in Russia.
Surprised you didn't go with Jonathan Gonzalez. That was the guy that I was thinking about. The young kid that could have really
he got
created.
an appearance or two. I don't know.
Yeah, but he was
He was
like the guy that
he was
like
the guy.
he chose Mexico over the U.S. It was supposed to be this
He
big
got
thing.
like rookie of the season, like top rookie, and then he's in MLS now.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is. Yeah. All right, let's see what else I got for you here. Ooh, which player is most important to reaching el quinto partido?
Dark horse, I will say it's gonna be Guillermo Ochoa. Ochoa, cause I think the defense is stout enough to like help out if they do the right wings,
San
the
Memo.
ranked backs. So if they bring in the right defensive backs, I think that Memo Ochoa is gonna be the only thing stopping this team.
San Memo, man, yes.
I think he's also, as a goalie, you age differently than most players on the pitch, and I think he's aged gracefully, and I think he still has the oomph to get him over the finish line.
You know what? That's such an obvious answer that went way over my head, and I'm glad you said that because, he's the elder statesman of the team. He's the
old guy.
He's the old guy, but I'm should he be captain?
I don't think he should be captain. I think a captain has to be out in the pitch to control emotions. I think a captain's somebody that's centered, that can talk to each player and get the best out of them. And I feel as a goalie, that's very hard to do.
I see where you're going with that. But I
like he is old, but he's still very good looking. Ask my mom; she still thinks he's the best looking guy.
Not just moms think he's hot, but yeah.
I'll be a mom if that's what it is.
Oh, okay.
So,
okay. Yeah.
All right.
What you got?
Let's see. Oh, I got a big one. Would you rather win the World Cup but never win against the USMNT ever again, or never win the World Cup but never lose a game against USMNT ever again? I hate that you're thinking about this so much.
Here's the thing, man. Like, I spent my hard-earned money and sat and witnessed with pretty good seats. I saw them lose the Nations League final in Denver. I saw them lose the Gold Cup final in Las Vegas. That is crushing, man. That is crushing, right? But with that said, I'll sit through 100 more of those for a World Cup. I want that World Cup, man.
The thing
Only
is,
so many teams can say they're World Cup champions.
Having that star on your badge is such a privilege.
Yeah.
I would take that 10 out of 10. I've had this conversation with multiple friends, and they've asked me, what would you give up for a World Cup? I always say, what's the most useful thing in my body? And it's probably my right hand. And I always say, that's what would be gone. My right hand would be the first thing to go.
Take it.
Like, if that means a World Cup win, a World Cup, like, cup,
wow,
in a heartbeat.
Wow, yeah. Well, I'm glad we agree.
Yeah. I just didn't like your hesitation. It's not even twice.
Because, like I said, it hits close to home because I've witnessed it. I've been there.
I understand that, but like, as long as they beat you and then you look at them and be like, how many stars do you have? Boom. Like, that's how you get them back. Beat me all you want. You won't get a World Cup.
They'll say, well, our federation has more stars.
Yeah, but it doesn't have.
That's another topic for another day. Another topic for another day.
Makes sense.
Yeah. All right. Let's see what else I got for you here. It's so perfect. If you could replace Tata with any manager in the world, who would it be?
Thought that with any manager would probably be Jimenez of the U22 squad or like that. That's
Any manager in the world? Are you
that's
kidding me? You
yes.
have Pep Guardiola.
I will tell you why. Mexico, the issue with Mexico has never been talent or tactics. It's been getting the most out of their players. And Jimenez always seems to get the most out of his players. He does it continuously with the young guys. So if you bring that coach that's been with the young guys, that knows how they react, and you bring them into the senior squad and help them and help those guys come into their own, I think it's the perfect way.
So that team that he took to, no, that wasn't Jimenez. I'm thinking of Jimmy Lozano.
I meant Lozano, not Jimenez. My bad.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay, so the
Lozano.
team that Lozano took to the Olympics and got to get a bronze medal. You think that's the most he could have got out of that team?
No, it's not the most, but it's also there's other teams in the tournament that are good. But I think he just does a really good job of getting the most out of players, which is I think the hardest thing for Mexico. I think that's why El Piojo Herrera, even though he didn't have the most talented squad, he got the most out of his players with his passion.
So you could have just said El Piojo.
No, I don't want El Piojo. I don't
People
want
love him. People love him.
He is good, but I want also a soothing presence on the bench. And Piojo is not a soothing presence.
All right. Well, yeah. Guess we're not calling Jurgen Klopp anytime soon.
No, I don't like crybabies. If I liked crybabies, I would have gone with Berhalter.
You're more. Sorry, Greg.
I'm just taking shots at all these coaches. I hope they understand.
Why does he need 2 G's? That's what I've always wondered.
Because 1 G wasn't enough.
1 G wasn't enough, man.
He's
trying to get past Greg.
He's trying to get more signal on his cell phone plan. He thinks
the
more G's he has, the better signal he'll get.
2 G's. I got the best cell signal. There you go.
There's a word on here I don't know what it means, but I will still read it. And if I know how to read it, good. Is it true that Memo Ochoa is placed in a hyperbaric chamber and only released around the World Cup time? I know what that means after I read it.
All right. Good thing you got the engineer up here. Okay.
Yeah.
So hyperbaric chamber.
The only reason I know is Dragon Ball Z.
Ooh, yeah. Anyways,
that was if I knew what we were doing, I would have done it with you.
Was it Dragon Ball? Well, oh no, I'm thinking of another.
No, you. It was the right show. Right? I just didn't know what you were doing. I was confused.
Yeah, we could have had our Chucky and Guti moment. But anyways, yes, 100%. I would take that because World Cup Ochoa, and I'm just obviously we're gonna think back to Brazil, right? 2014.
It's not asking if you would. Do you think it's true?
Oh, if I think it's true. Man,
we're just talking about how good looking he is.
He ages well. So I think there's something's up. Some kind of technology that I haven't heard of.
I don't think it's technology. I think they put him in the lakes of Mexico City and let him recuperate. You know,
I think those lakes are probably a little bit more contaminated than.
Yeah, but he has that. I think he has that. Yeah, okay. It re-energizes him. I think that Mexican ancestry.
There's something that when World Cup Ochoa comes out that.
I was always surprised he didn't go to a bigger team.
Yeah, there's. At one point, he was supposed to go to PSG, and they tested positive for clenbuterol.
That was found in meat.
That's found in meat.
Mexican meat.
Yeah, unfortunate
cultural differences, I guess.
Yeah. All right, let's see. I got one more for you. What is the Mexico-Argentina score going to be?
If I go full-blown optimist, 1-0. Mexico's favor.
1-0, huh? Okay.
I think we sweat it out. And I think they win. I think it's going to be the exact same game as Germany. I really do believe that.
Holy cow. Yeah. That'd be amazing.
This time I will not run through walls.
No? No walls?
No walls because I am coming prepared for a win.
Okay. Wow, look at that.
I will only have curtains around me. That way, if I want to run through something, it won't hurt.
Curtains. There's so many curtains. I can't get out of here. Awesome.
All right, last one. What Mexican soccer player has the best nickname? I think I know the answer.
So it's I would say Chucky, but actually Tecatitos is more funny because of he got it. It wasn't organic at all. Like his club team at the time was well, his last name is Corona.
Yeah.
His club team was sponsored by Tecate. They're like, no, we can't put Corona on the back of this jersey.
Yeah,
Like,
that's like-
our sponsors are gonna. So it's like, oh, you're Tecatito. There you
I
go.
do love that story a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're Tecate. So that one, I think that one's
Yeah.
hilarious. But there's just so many good ones. Like, they call Edson Alvarez El
El Machín. I
Machín.
love
El
that
Machín
nickname.
because in Mexican, like, it's not
The
just like
it's like the
yeah, if
meanest.
you're Machine, it's like I think it's technically Spanglish, but you call somebody Machine, it's because like they're pretty badass, right?
What would be the direct translation in English to El Machín?
Just badass, I think.
Yeah, I mean, imagine running around the pitch and people are just calling you badass. Come over here,
Hey,
badass.
hey,
give me the
Machín,
ball.
Hey. Yeah, no, but there's plenty of other good ones.
In my opinion, El Machín. It sounds like the machine. Also, which if you're an English speaker and you hear El Machín, and everybody's like, "Oh, where's the machine at?"
Where?
Like, yeah.
Oh no,
And you
right?
just
Yeah, there's so many good to choose of because
And
like-
Memo's pretty cool too, I think.
well, Memo, that's what all Guillermos are
Yeah, I
kind of
think
known
yeah.
as. But yeah, Mexicans just like they make up nicknames for everybody.
I also think El Chucky Lozano's pretty funny
Well, yeah,
because he looks like
Chucky.
Chucky.
No, because he's a terror on the field, man.
I
Just
always
like,
thought it's because he looked like Chucky.
just like
Which-
Child's Play doll, dude. Like Chucky the doll, man. He's a terror out there on the field. I wouldn't want to cover him. There's some good ones, man.
I think El Chucky is though because he looks like Chucky.
Yeah, no, yeah. So
He has the eyebrow, I think.
yeah.
I think that's what gets
a
people
little bit
think.
of that, but yeah, really fun questions.
Yeah,
And,
that was a lot of fun.
That was really good segments to talk about.
Yeah,
and
so
it's
we got to thank our producers for that. That was a really fun
good
little
stuff.
quick
Good
hitting
stuff.
talk.
Yeah, good stuff. Thank you all, Yahir. It's been fun.
It's been a lot of
Hopefully
fun.
the first of many. I want to remind everybody to like and subscribe. And we'll bring you some more hard-hitting takes, opinions. What do you think, Yahir?
I will keep slandering El Tata, but please like and subscribe if you like that.
Poor
If you
Tata.
don't like that, let us know as well.
Poor
And,
Tata.
and we appreciate you guys hanging out with us today. It was a lot of fun talking Mexican soccer.
That's right. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Like and subscribe to Talking El Tri on the 18.